Hey everybody, today we're going to test out a whole bunch of vegan cheeses to see which one makes the best vegan mac and cheese. Obviously, taste is subjective, so what follows is just my opinion, but let me know if you agree or disagree with me in the comments. Now, it's also worth noting that I'm located in the US, specifically in Southern California, so obviously these brands are not available everywhere, but we'll be going over some of the most commonly found brands, and we'll also be going over some universal techniques as well, so there's something for everyone. And these days, I prefer to use some sodium citrate in my cheese sauce. It's an emulsifier that helps to make it super smooth, but I realize most folks don't have this in their pantry, so the next best method is to simply use some unsweetened plant milk in order to get the consistency that we're after. I'm also going to be trying these out without adding any other seasonings in order to really see how each individual cheese performs on its own. So first up is Follow Your Heart. I found this new finely shredded variety. Now for all of these tests, I'm going to use 4 ounces of each cheese. I'm also going to use about 1/4 cup to 1/3 cup of our plant milk, though I found most needed at least another splash or 2 in order to get the consistency I was going for. For the pasta, I'm going to use around 2 cups, which I believe was about 8 ounces or so. And honestly, when I ended up pouring the cheese over the pasta, I really only used a little over half. And this isn't scientific at all, and I'm terrible at math, so sue me. In either case, let's get our milk up to a light boil, and then we're gonna throw in our Follow Your Heart cheese. And this stuff melted super quickly, probably on account of how fine it was shredded. And there you go, that's the texture of how it came out. Not too shabby. So let's get some macaroni in a bowl, and then we'll go ahead and drizzle on some of that cheese sauce. And like I said, I was just adding enough until it looked good, and I'll give that a mix as best I can. And let's take a look at how it pulls, also not too shabby. And now let's give the Follow Your Heart mac and cheese a good old taste test.
That's pretty good. It could use a little seasoning, but on its own, it's not bad at all. I think with just a few modifications, it could be really, really good. I do like the texture. It's very reminiscent of like Kraft. You can see the stretchiness. It stretches pretty well without any sodium citrate or tapioca starch. Yeah, it really just needs a little bit more salt. Like I said, seasonings. It would be really, really good. The texture is great though, so yeah, let's do the next one.
Okay, on to the Miyokos, and this was a bit thicker than the Follow Your Heart, so I had to add a bit more milk, but that's not a big deal, of course. We're gonna whisk that up until it melts and looks something like this. And now, let's pour it over some pasta. We'll stir that around to mix it up, and let's see how it pulls. Not too bad as well. But let's see how it tastes.
There's a flavor that it's poking through, and I'm not a fan of it, I gotta be honest. The texture's a little thicker and grainier than the Follow Your Heart. Not quite as smooth. It's not awful. It's not bad. I do like the Follow Your Heart better. I do love Miyokos, but in this context, not my favorite. But let's move on to the next one.
Okay, so next up is the Field Roast Chow cheese, and this one, as far as I know, isn't a cheddar cheese. To be honest, I'm not sure what kind of cheese it is. It's pretty good in quesadillas, but I've never made mac and cheese with it. But here's the texture of it. I think it came out pretty good. Of course, we gotta pour it over some of our macaroni as per usual, and we'll mix that up, and then we're gonna test out the cheesy pull ability. Not too much, but that's okay. So let's go ahead and give this one a taste as well.
The texture is really nice. The taste, well, in Chow's defense, this isn't supposed to be like a cheddar cheese, so maybe that's throwing me off, because everything else is cheddar cheese. Well, let me try one more bite. To be honest, it kind of tastes like butter. Kind of what I'm getting, the taste I'm getting. It's very rich and creamy, and just, it kind of tastes like butter, which is not a bad thing. Just not what I was expecting for a mac and cheese. And again, like I said, it's not bad. In fact, look, I can't stop eating it. Not bad, not my favorite. Let's move on to the next one, which I believe is Daya. So let's get going with that.
First, I just poured in a 1/4 cup of milk, but then I knew from my past experience that I would need more as Daya gets pretty thick. So I added another 1/4 cup. And of course, let's whisk until melted and it looks something like that. Pour it over, and yeah, just like I'd expected, it was a bit thicker than the others. But I'll go ahead and mix it up, and then we're going to give it a good old pull, and that actually looks not too shabby as well. But time to dig in and see how it tastes.
Similar to the Miyoko's, there is a flavor like afterwards. Hold on, one more bite. Let me see if I can identify it. Hold on. It's not awful. Not my favorite. The texture is a lot thicker and, dare I say, goopier than the other ones so far. The flavor is just a little off. It's not terrible. It's kind of similar to Kraft mac and cheese, I suppose. But then there's just like this, at first it tastes good, and then there's just this little like whoop, like weird taste kind of sneaks in at the end there. All right, let's move on to the last one, which is Violife, which I will be upfront with that I am probably biased because I use the Violife the most. But let's see how it does, because I usually use sodium citrate. So let's see how it is on its own.
And at this point, I think you know the drill. We're gonna whisk it. That's what it looks like. Pour it on over. And then we're gonna mix it up. See if it pulls. Not really, but now it's time to give it a taste.
It's definitely the saltiest of all of them. It's very similar to the Follow Your Heart. It's like the Follow Your Heart, but saltier. All right, one more bite. I have to say, very close between Follow Your Heart and Violife. So that being said, I would say that Follow Your Heart and Violife definitely are my two favorites. The other three, Miyoko's, Chow, and Daya definitely was my least favorite. Chow and Miyoko's were about the same. Chow just kind of tasted like butter. Miyoko's had a slightly strange aftertaste, but all of them are good. There's just different levels of how good they are. So if you want to make any of my mac and cheese recipes, I got some right here, so go ahead and click on those. Let me know in the comments what your favorite cheese for mac and cheese is, and I'll see you all next time. Should I do a bite?